Hey, thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well. Many in the entertainment industry and in politics are actually the opposite gender we've been taught. We're going to dive a bit into that and then we'll get into human cloning. Here's a photo of a male and female skull. As you can see, males have square jaws and chins. The female chin is round. The male brow ridge is more pronounced. In fact, the female skull has barely any brow ridge. So overall, the appearance of a woman's skull is rounder and less robust than that of a man's, who has pronounced squareness and overall more rigid features. Comparing skeletons, we see that a man's shoulders are broader. The woman's shoulders are situated a bit more in front of the skeletal frame and are more curved. Just thought I'd touch up on male versus female skeletal structures. The best example of a transgender in the public's eye is Michelle Obama. Now, many people have already gone in great detail online, but let's just review a few things. The square jawline is prominent. The broad shoulders are evident. We've seen some strange activity going on in the genital area. An Adam's apple, which is typically covered up with makeup, and overall just a very masculine, athletic appearance. Obama has on a few occasions slipped up and called Michelle Michael.
Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today.
Well, when Michelle's mad. When Michelle's mad.
And we all heard the Joan Rivers confession before her alleged death.
No, Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Ted Cruz has said that Melania Trump, Donald Trump's wife, is a man. And Ted Cruz is telling us the truth. Up close we see the square jaw, and behind the makeup is lying quite the masculine face. Justin Bieber is transgender as well. We see the feminine jawline, the curved shoulders. We can see evidence of alteration. And the most obvious is near the pectorals, where we see a fatty type chest that looks like it's been stapled or somehow altered. And the shoulders, again, are curved. They're more proportional to that of a woman. Serena Williams is transgender. In these cover photos of Serena, we see a photoshopped body, but these are airbrushed to look more feminine, while in real life we clearly see the masculine features, just like in Michelle Obama. The shoulders, the jaw, the torso. Anna Nicole Smith was transgender. We see the square jawline, the masculine appearance. With Jennifer Gardner, we see the same thing, and her shoulders are very masculine. So I just wanted to name a few. There's a lot of people online exposing all of this in greater detail. What would be their reason for making us have celebrity idols who are the opposite gender of what they represent? The reptilian elite aim to invert everything. This is what they do best. They aim to warp our sexuality by showing us women who are men and men who are women. And ultimately, they aim to corrupt our concepts of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine feminine offers tenderness, wisdom, patience, nurturing, flexibility, and fertility. The overarching principle of the divine feminine is the dynamic of care. Out of balance and ignored, the divine feminine loses self-respect, discernment, and the ability to love herself. And this imbalance of the divine feminine is apparent in culture. Emotion, which is the driving factor of the divine feminine, is aimed to be manipulated and displaced. The divine masculine is fearless, courageous, and loyal. The out-of-balance masculine is stagnant, afraid to fail, overpowering and angry. Instead of being loyal and courageous, he masks his insecurities with ego. Our full potential is found in the intertwining and balance of the divine feminine and divine masculine energies within each of us. Both men and women carry masculine and feminine wisdom and tools, and oftentimes one or both of these energies is out of balance, wounded, or misunderstood. The sacred union of the divine masculine and feminine can unite, heal, and manifest wonderful realities for all of us. The synergy created by this balanced union catalyzes the forces of creation into manifestation. And this is why it's so crucial for the elite to push a transgender agenda. Instead of fusing these energies and balancing them within ourselves, the elite have brainwashed many of us into becoming entirely different sexes. Instead of fusing our left and right brains to work in sacred union, we've been glamorizing the fusing of our sex with another sex. And the emphasis is the external appearance of that sex and not the sacred principles it possesses. There's already a problem with how we view masculine and feminine principles, and when we throw transgenderism into the mix, things get even more warped. Look at the word divine. Broken apart, we have di, meaning double, and vine. This word is telling us to be divine is for the dual energies of masculine and feminine to work harmoniously within oneself. Perhaps this is why developing spirituality is often called growing. We must be like two vines that are intertwined in one, growing upwards towards the limitless potential of our divinity. On the contrary, the word divide means to force apart or remove. The elite want to keep us divided, so these forces remain distant and removed from our consciousness. Looking around at the images and philosophies being encouraged and promoted to both men and women, it's clear that the sacred masculine and especially feminine forces have been severely defiled. Third wave feminism, men's rights movements, beauty campaigns, and much of the social justice movement has been used to further the inversion of the divine feminine and masculine qualities. They focus on reinforcing either the unhealthy masculine or the unhealthy feminine, and have a divided us versus them mentality. These movements focus on masculine and feminine traits being measured purely in external displays instead of their true internal formless expressions. The Baphomet represents this. The Baphomet is a horned figure that's been connected to secret societies since the 14th century. This figure is transgender and externally balanced. And this is the problem. We must find union by merging the opposite divine energies within ourselves, and not purely on the outside as we see on the Baphomet. At its core, the Baphomet represents the inversion of this union. The multiple different genders being more widely recognized and taught to our children are all directing energy towards gendered aspects of the ego, but not the spirit. Non-binary, pangender, intersex. It's crazy because we as divine sparks want unity, so the elite serve it up to us, but in an inverted way. I want to say real quick that I love all transgenders, and if it makes people have a better life, I'm not against it. It's when the elite are pushing it for spiritual defilement that I have a problem with it. So all of us were there. It seems like almost overnight in 2015, transgenderism became a hot topic. Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner. That same month, the CBS show Big Brother had their first transgender contestant, and soon after, a TV show about a 14-year-old transgender was aired. This all happened in July of 2015. Telling me this was the launch period for the propagation of transgender ideals. Bruce Jenner's transformation was foreshadowed with predictive programming.
Bruce Jenner is a man.
No, Brian. That's what the press would have you believe, but he's not. Bruce Jenner is a woman. An elegant, beautiful Dutch woman.
All right, boys, go get him over there. And now, please welcome Mr. Bruce Jenner.
Now, let's shift our focus to human cloning. Stop human cloning. I repeat, stop human cloning. I'm echoing this hashtag loud and clear because human cloning is a disgusting, vile practice that must be stopped. Many of us have heard Donald Marshall's detailed accounts of the elite's underground cloning centers. A lot of what I'm about to present is echoing what Marshall has said, what George Green has, and Phil Chupa. Rapper B.O.B. is a very outspoken victim of these cloning centers. He started the hashtag #StopHumanCloning.
When I first found out about cloning, I was fucking terrified. Like, I thought that when I spoke out about cloning, they were gonna kill me.
And soon after, other celebrities started coming forward. There are 4 different types of clones made in these cloning centers. Mark 1 and Mark 2 are REM driven. Mark 1s aren't used anymore. In both of these types, you can only be put into a clone during REM sleep. Your consciousness is taken from you and put into these clones in the cloning centers. If the elite want to beam you into a clone, they will during REM sleep, and there's no way to prevent it. So many of our politicians and celebrities are actually leading a dual existence and are beamed to these cloning centers during REM sleep. Marshall names Queen Elizabeth, Mila Kunis, Henry Kissinger, Kesha, Tyra Banks, Vladimir Putin, the Pope, Oprah, Obama, Anderson Cooper. This list is really long, and it's all celebrities and politicians. Their everyday bodies are sleeping at night, while their consciousness is being zapped into these cloning centers, where they keep a sort of secret club and are involved in torture, pedophilia, and other violent practices. It's all happening underground, and their regular bodies aren't affected, so they can easily wake up and feel rejuvenated, having spent the night with their consciousness loaded into a different cloned body. Many of the people there, especially celebrities, don't actually want to be there, but are automatically taken there during sleep, where they're sometimes forced into performing sex and torture acts with the elite. It's said that Bernie Mac was tortured for speaking up against this during one of his nights at the cloning center. The torture caused him to have an aneurysm, and this is what actually caused his death.
They killed Bernie Mac this way, with an aneurysm. He tried to start a mutiny there, saying, we can't have this, we all gotta shut this place down.
He said, we can't be doing this to a human being, I've seen enough of this. This is foolishness. Well, other people started to join in with them, so Elizabeth put a stop to that real quick. They cut him up for hours. And they made everybody sit there and watch him getting chopped. As an example,
Mark 3 and 4 clones are the most advanced. One's consciousness can be transferred from these Mark 3 and 4 clones, making the entity able to go from clone to clone without ever needing to die. And this is what many of the world's leaders have done. They've simply been transferring their consciousness from one clone to another. These cloning centers are ran by reptilians. They perform cloning down there, but they also perform droning. Droning occurs when a reptilian injects what's described as a proboscis from its exoskeleton into the human eye, where the lizard parasite takes over the human body and brain. It's a terribly painful process for the human being. All or most of the memory and ability of the former human is retained, so the lizard consciousness now mimics the former human's behaviors. The medical caduceus actually depicts this process going on. The optic nerve in the brain is attached to the human eye. What we're seeing here is the eye on top and the optic nerve. The snake surrounding is the parasitic worm that shoots out and goes through the back of the eye, surrounding the optic nerve. The eye of Horus isn't what we think it is. The curly line represents the proboscis parasite going into the eye, and the straight line represents the overflow of the spinal fluid coming from the eye. Sometimes when the proboscis enters a host's eye, this spinal fluid causes abnormalities. Donald Marshall says that Tom York from Radiohead is a drone, and this is why he has a lopsided eye. When we look at Bono's eyes without glasses, we see the same thing, and he wears glasses all the time to hide this. We see the same in Cindy Crawford, who, by the way, is a man. Paris Hilton, John McCain, Melissa Joan Hart. There's a lot of people I'm missing, and even more who have gotten surgery to mask these droned eyes. We could label these reptilian entities as evil, but keep in mind, they're just trying to preserve themselves. They vibrate at such low frequencies that what's exciting to them is torture, pedophilia, all of the sick and twisted acts they're involved in. Their acts provide them with energetic food in the form of pain and fear. They literally subsist off the suffering of others. So reptilians are not divine beings like us. They're lizards with a parasitic nature. For them, being a human is better than being in their reptilian bodies. So they drone people, take their bodies for the best quality of life they can get. Many drones need handlers because drones are flawed, and this is why we see handlers used for many celebrities and politicians. They're there to assist if the drone malfunctions. The 1988 movie They Live hides the truth about these drones and reptilian consciousness in plain sight. Roddy Piper, star of the movie, even tweeted in 2013, "They Live is a documentary." New glasses are invented that gives those who wear them the ability to see the unfiltered nature of reality. And you see corpses with reptilian slits in their eyes who are inhabiting human bodies. Later in the movie, the main characters go into a hole that opens up from a watch they're given. They end up in a secret underground base and walk into a room where the world's elite are congregating at a secret meeting. With their wristwatches, the elite have the ability to beam themselves into this secret base at will. Eventually, the main character shuts off the signal that's transmitting all of this mind control, and that's masking these beings. And these reptilian entities are now revealed in everyday life. This signal is representative of various technologies that are used against us. There's a lot of patents on mind control technology. A lot of this technology is in our TVs. This patent is specific for nervous system manipulation. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. Our chemtrails contain not only heavy metals, but also smart dust, which are tiny computers that act as antennas and manipulate mass consciousness from afar. HAARP is involved in the transmission of all of this. Archetypes, symbols, moods, attitudes, all of these things can be manipulated from afar. We are constantly being bombarded by the 440 Hz tuning in music, which is hiding the 528 Hz healing frequencies that resonate with our hearts and with all of the earth. 440 Hz has been shown to propagate fear-based emotions, whereas 528 is love-based and creates a harmonizing feeling. Going back to the research of Dr. Emoto, one can easily see that water itself receives, retains, and conveys all frequencies it's exposed to. Humans are the same way. Our smart meter billing systems contain harmful frequencies that have been shown to create disharmonious effects in the blood, and a lot of other side effects. All of this is for a reason. We're digital vibrations. We are literally being recreated every nano instant. Everything around us, our thoughts, the sound and light, it's all constantly remanifesting us. The frequencies we're bombarded with, like the frequencies emitted in They Live, want to halt and interfere with this creation process. This includes the Saturn moon matrix, which I've talked about in previous videos. Without the combination of these constant interfering frequencies, the reptilians have a tough time acclimating to our Earth's environment. They need energy from others, so instead of harnessing the natural abundant prana like we can, they must keep attacking through mind control and energy vampirism. The message of They Live is to be a conscious creator and not a passive observer. Those of us who are spilling our blood know that we are conscious creators because we intend to bring forth heaven on earth. We are consciously manifesting this intention, and we're spilling our blood on it. The more this blood magic sinks in, the less control the reptilian virus will have on this holographic reality. For now, however, this side of the flat plane is very comfortable for the reptilians who do live above ground. They enjoy being human much more than their natural reptile form, and we've become susceptible to their parasitic nature. They've mastered this with their cloning center. In Britney Spears' video for Break the Ice, she's clearly walking through a cloning center. At the beginning of 2016, B.O.B. released a mixtape titled Fire. The album art contains cloning tubes, On the side we see a reptilian eye, and in the background we see some kind of baby being grown. So Brittany and B.O.B. showed us these cloning tubes. Now we're familiar with these because they're all throughout sci-fi movies and TV shows, but where did they get this idea of human cloning being done in incubatory tubes? They stole it from the actual cloning centers that are underground. A common cloning practice is taking ancient DNA, oftentimes Egyptian DNA, and cloning our leaders and celebrities from that. B.O.B. even tweeted, "It's why the Egyptian preserved their organs. They didn't know what they would need to be brought back to life, or cloned back." Donald Marshall has claimed that Tyra Banks is an Egyptian clone, and so is Oprah and Pharrell. And many of us have already discovered that the Obama family is cloned from ancient Egyptian DNA. Obama is a clone from the pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten had a malformed head. It bubbled out. Obama has a large scar on his head, and this suggests he's gone through some sort of cranial reconstruction. CNN even had a piece where they referenced Obama as having likeness to an Egyptian pharaoh.
Purification, mummification,
self-identification.
That looks like me. Look at those ears.
Separated at birth from a hieroglyphic.
Michelle Obama is clearly cloned from Queen Tia. And we already know that Michelle is a transgender, so how does this relate to the fact that she's an ancient Egyptian clone? Well, here we see the mummy of Queen Tia, and we can see the same wide shoulders that Michelle presents, and we can see the same square jaw that a male anatomy can only have. We can compare these mummified remains to other remains of women and see that the shoulders are not curved like they should be. They resemble a man's shoulders. So perhaps Queen Tia was transgender back then, just as Michelle is now. Mummification was a process used to maintain DNA for cloning in the future. It's staring us in the face. Why else would there be such emphasis on mummification in ancient times? Something about this DNA is admirable to the elite. They may even just gain pleasure out of resurrecting old rulers into new ones. Now, there's two types of cloning practiced by the reptilians. There's replication, meaning cloning DNA into a baby who grows up from infancy, and duplication, where they actually make a fully formed double of you. Many celebrities have duplicated clones where they go to during REM sleep. What happens in the instances of these cloned historical figures and royal families is that they are replicated. The consciousness is transferred into a baby cloned from select DNA. Many sources say Queen Elizabeth has been here for 7,000 years, and that's because when one body dies, they clone another one with DNA from the same family, and this empty replication can now be inhabited by the entity. We sometimes see reptilian features like their eye seeping through because their reptilian consciousness is intertwined with a human body, and the eyes are the window to the soul. Not to mention with the drones, the optic nerve connected to the eye is the exact location where the parasite is attached to. The cloning technology paired with these reptilians' abilities to drone creates a variety of situations that are in front of our faces 24/7. Some celebrities are cloned and then their clones are strictly used at these cloning center meetings. Some celebrities are droned, some are replaced by their clones, and some have MK Ultra mind control programming or microchipping working in tandem with their clones. It's very confusing. The elite pair all of this cloning with transgenderism, so these celebrities are not only promoting the toxic values of vanity, fame, and fortune, but also a deep inversion of the divine masculine and feminine principles. The depraved and parasitic nature of the reptilians have extended into our culture. We still have superconscious, superhuman abilities. They're just masked with toxic belief systems and frequencies that hit us at every angle each day. Cloning must be shut down because it's one of the cornerstones of this parasitism. Our flat plane matrix is encased by a complex spiritual labyrinth involving reptilian parasitism and ideological indoctrination. The union of the divine feminine and the divine masculine has been severely suppressed. Everything we see in politics is staged and fake. Entertainment is serving a dark purpose, and we've been fractalized into holographic bodies, which I talk about in other videos. The good news is the way out of this insane place is where all compasses point to, the center of our plane. As I've been backing up with many of my videos, the center of our plane is where we find paradise, Hyperborea, Shambhala, whatever name you have for a land of bliss. This land is where we're headed to. Over there is where we'll get to leave this part of the plane into a land powered by the black sun, over where the astral light, the aurora borealis, is pouring out from. We are all spilling our blood to bring forth heaven on earth, and waiting until the time is right to make the journey to the center of our plane. This is a matter of everlasting life. I understand this seems like a far-fetched idea. I assure you, I've done my research. I'm telling you, this is absolutely real. Paradise is by Mount Meru at the North Pole, and we're spilling our blood. This is a mass exodus that's happening. So watch my videos if you need some evidence. I'm doing all I can to present what I find, and will continue to. I want to encourage you who's watching to somehow repost the hashtag #StopHumanCloning. Celebrities are being abused, our leaders are being cloned and controlled through microchipping, many of the abducted children are used as sexual clones at these centers, and who knows what other depraved acts are going on. There's not some force already getting this information out there. It's on each and every one of us to spread this information. Stop human cloning. These reptilian beings don't see them as evil, see them as pathetic beings who can only thrive off of the inversion of our creative potential. We build everything for them, and then they invert it at their leisure. While this presentation was about cloning, this is nothing to fear. Yes, stop human cloning, but know that when we rise up together in the sacred union of the feminine and masculine, no amount of deception can affect us. Earth is a very important place. If you switch around the letters, we get the word heart, because Earth is the metaphorical heart of the cosmos. If you want to kill somebody with great accuracy, you go for the heart. If you want to hurt somebody emotionally, you go for the heart. This goddess we're living on is the reptilians and archons' focal point for destruction and energy vampirism, because once the heart dies, all other organs fail. So Earth is the heart, and you've made it this far into this video, so I know your intent is in the right place. So what are you waiting for? We're spilling our blood and bringing forth heaven on earth. This is real. The effects I've gotten from spilling my blood have been enormous, and I'll be making a video about that soon. Replicate the videos you see, upload it, and place your blood beside ours. I'm telling you that all of us spilling our blood and making these videos, we are going to follow our compasses within a few years' time, and leave this place through the center of our plane. We already know our divine destination. Now's the gathering time. I want to express gratitude for all of your kind comments and emails. You all are fucking awesome, and seriously, I love everything that comes into my mailbox. I've been trying to respond to as many emails as I can. I rarely reply to comments, but I definitely enjoy reading them. There's been a few videos trying to debunk me, and while I disagree, I'm not here to clash ideologies. And so if you love my channel, then I love you, and if you don't, then I still love you. Just don't expect me ever making a rebuttal video, because that's not really my style. So, once again, thanks for watching. Stay well and centered, guys. I love you all.